restoring, recalibrating, and activating every cell within your being.
The Self Care Vortex Podcast with Melissa Kiss. You just entered a potent energy vortex. The next couple of minutes are for you to nurture all aspects of yourself. You have been guided here to remember to trust in yourself and the flow of life, to remember how to freely express all aspects of yourself. You are here right now in this moment to remember that you are enough. This is a safe and sacred space for transformation, personal growth, unconditional love, and radical transparency. I invite you to lose yourself in order to find your true self and step into your power. The Self Care Vortex is a warm, welcoming, and safe sanctuary where everyone is completely accepted, where you are completely accepted. Because we know how unique you are, and we know that you were born to make an impact in this world. And we look so forward for you to remember your magnificence. Each episode is a journey into yourself and the infinite possibilities of life. The path of deep inner and outer self-care will take you back to your soul essence, back to your purpose. Let the journey begin. Welcome to the tribe. See you on the other side. Aloha and welcome back to the Self Care Vortex Podcast and our Wednesday interview episode with an amazing, epic guest. She's a really good friend of mine that I met years ago in the most hilarious way. Like the universe works, it brings people together. You don't even really see each other that often. However, your souls know each other much longer than in this lifetime. And you don't need to see yourself or like the other person so often. It's just like you meet, you catch up, and you hang out in the other realms all the time. So it's pretty epic. And she has an amazing, amazing story. First of all, if you ever meet her, go on her Instagram. She's like a bright light, shining, smiling. She's also called Shine Your Light Yoga on Instagram. So that says a lot about her. Plus, it doesn't say everything because there's a lot of shadow behind all the light that she's spreading. And that's why her light is so radiant and so bright and so brilliant, because she is not afraid to walk into the darkness of life. And, as we all know, sometimes life just freaking pushes you into the darkness if you want to or not. But then you get to decide how to move through that. And today's guest has an amazing story as a physiotherapist and a yoga teacher. That's how we initially also connected, both really into yoga, both yoga teachers. But there is so much more to that. And when we met, she was still in the process of becoming a physiotherapist and, in this really structured kind of school system. And there was a lot of shadow also there and a lot of stuff that came up there. And yeah, I'm super excited to introduce you to Shine Your Light Yoga, Anna-Lea. And I'm so happy that you're here. And I'm so excited to hear everything. There are so many things that we could talk about, but for now, I just love to introduce you you to introduce yourself.
Okay,
to the tribe.
Thanks so much. Thanks for that introduction. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Okay, I guess you put very well in words who I think, I am right now. So you mentioned all kind of parts about me, like on a working level and personal level too. Yeah, so actually I want to say something about my Instagram name because there was a Native American woman when I was a baby who gave me that name, Shining Star. And it always kind of stuck with me throughout my life because it reminded me of hey, I am light. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Or, like when there were dark times in my life, like it would always kind of ground me to think of that name. So
how did that happen? I don't know that story. I love that. Like, it's not like the everyday story that you hear. Yeah, there was this Native American woman that just, gave me that name. That had a huge impact on my life.
Yeah. I do have a hippie mom, I would say. Like, she would always go to to the Black Forest and meet with other people and do like tippy, how do you call it? Like Schwitzhütte.
Oh, like sweat lodges?
Sweat lodges. Yeah, thank you. They would do the ceremonies, and there would always be Native American people too and join the ceremonies. And then there was one woman who gave us names. Like, my mom is Sky Dancer and I'm Shining Star. Yeah.
I love that. How beautiful.
Yeah. Yes. And as you mentioned too, like, I think what I did in the past was kind of always look at the light and prefer to be in the light and with the light. And then all of a sudden, like, shadow grew and grew much bigger, and I couldn't fight it anymore. I just had to look at it in the end. And that gave me so much of myself back, because it's just a part of me. It belongs to my life, to my story, like not only on a personal level, but also on a spiritual, energetic level. I think we are born, our DNA is like, has so much information already in it when we're born, like already when we're conceived, and I'm here to look at it. I'm here to be honest with myself and to be honest with my parents, with my past, with my present and future. So that's
so powerful. I love that you mentioned, there's so much already inside of us. Like, the second, the moment we're conceived, there is like this whole energetic ball of information that we get to activate, that we get to choose to activate or not throughout our life. And I think that really weaves well into this whole topic that is so present right now, I feel, in the collective, coming back to being a human being instead of a human doing. Because how I love to explain it or look at a dog, Sometimes you might be stressed or really pissed or, I don't know, just somewhere in your thoughts. You don't even need to be in a bad mood. And then there's this dog just wiggling its tail, not doing anything, maybe not even coming over to you, but he made your day. It's like, just by being.
Yeah, that's true.
It has this amazing energy. And that's what we can do it, like what we are as well, in a way. And
yeah. I mean, I encounter that with people too, right? Like, every day at work, I meet people who are sick, who are about to die, like really at the edge of life. And not all of them, but a lot of them accept the fact that now is the time to be rather than do. Because also they're not able to do anything anymore. They're just laying in bed all day, and they are forced kind of to accept what is, their state of being. And that also, I mean, I meet people like that, and with a joy in being also, even if they are in pain, like even if they struggle with the thought of dying, but I mean, they still keep some sense of humor that is so refreshing, and it also makes my day.
Wow, that's super profound. Do you want to share a little bit about your work, about what you're doing there? Because I feel like physiotherapist sounds, that's kind of cool. But what are you actually doing? I mean, it's like, really being so close to people, and especially you being so intuitive as well, and everything that you're doing, all the energy work as well, and just being so super aware. Tell us a little bit about that and the things that you meet there. I mean, that must also for you be very profound to experience that.
I love that question, because I think, like, as a physiotherapist, I often feel that people don't have a picture of the work I do, but it's also because there's so many aspects of it or to it. You can do so much as a physiotherapist. So I do work in a hospital right now, and I'm working with neurological and Chirurgische Patienten, how do you say that? Like the ones who, well, they had an operation, and not because they had an accident, but because of cancer or stuff like that. So, yeah. And also I do work with people who are in palliative care. Oh my God. Like here I
Those are also words I'm like, but
I'm doing the Denglish right now and hope you understand.
I will do. But it's, yeah. I think it's also palliative care, something like that. But people who are basically
dying.
Yeah.
Well, who are diagnosed
on their journey to
on that journey. Yeah.
Ascend
on
into
that journey to death. Yeah. I mean, we can call it death. It's a death. It's okay to call it that, I think. But
totally.
I mean,
it's just like who are dying sounds a little bit like, they're dying right
harsh.
Now. But they're still there. So they're kind of on their journey to die. Let's call it that.
Yeah, that's true. Yes. And
which in a way, depending on how we look at it, we all are.
Yeah, we're all dying every day. I mean, holy yes. I mean, that's also something, I love that you really brought that up, because I feel death is something, just like so many topics, money, sex, religion, so many things, we're not talking about them. Not enough. It's like, death. I don't even want to say that. Because it's probably, not creating a good energy. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's so natural. And it has been just excluded from society in a way. It's that cycle of life. Like people are born every day and people die every day. And it belongs to life. And also I think that's a shadow too, right? That we are maybe afraid of dying or afraid of losing somebody. Often I think that's the bigger problem. Like we are so wishing to control life and when to end life and in what ways, like, I mean, we all want to just sleep peacefully and, go to the other side with like also having time to whatever we want to do. But it doesn't go that way. Like my stepmom, she just had a child and, she had this birth planned out in her mind. Like, I want to do it like that. I want to birth at home. And it just didn't happen like that. I mean, there's a moment when you have to let go of that picture you made up in your mind, and you just need to surrender to that is not going to happen. It's okay. And I accept the challenge, like God has something bigger, the universe, whatever you want to call it, has something bigger or something different in mind for me. Yeah.
Definitely.
But it's a process. I mean, I'm working on it too. It's a daily process. So I'm not saying I'm already there.
No,
not at all.
We all went down a certain path and other people are on the break, like to go there. So it's like, so that's what I think we often forget. And that's also a big part of the Self Care Vortex podcast is like, we often forget the power and importance of our everyday life experiences.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I hear a story, the person is absolutely not in any way thinking they're, telling me anything mind-blowing, and I'm sitting there and it changes my perspective on an entire topic of life.
I know that feeling. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my goddess, now I understand. And that has a huge impact on my life.
That's
so
true.
It's so important to just share our stories. We don't need to be here and like, okay, by the way, just please listen to me because I'm the guru and I have so much experience and learn from me. Like, no, I'm just here sharing my story and take what resonates with you. For some reason, you have been guided to listen to that. For some reason, we meet certain people and listen to their stories. And because there are some codes in there that we can use and activate within us.
Yes. And also, I mean, you don't need to be authentic if you don't feel the call. But for me, it's so, it's so refreshing from my heart to be with people who are ready to look at themselves and, to be honest and share from their hearts. I mean, it's not always easy, definitely not, but it's it's a connection that's worth so much more than anything else.
That you said you don't really need to be authentic if you don't feel the call. I'm like, what do you mean you don't need to be authentic? Of course you need. My ego was like, Which is hilarious because we don't need to do anything if we don't feel the call. If we're not ready.
You teach me something too. If you don't want to be authentic and you're acting a certain way, I can either react to it, I can stay with it, I can leave, I can choose. Right, it's my choice what I'm doing with it. I don't need to stay if I don't want to. It's okay.
I love it.
Okay, we could go down the road.
We're flowing.
Yeah.
So let's flow back to your job for a moment to just close that topic down. So how does your work look like? I mean, of course, you're physically working on their physical bodies and supporting them. There are a lot of conversations probably, and also we know how much energy, emotions are in our physical body. So you're probably also releasing or at least moving a lot of their energy as well. Do you feel that or experience that with them?
Yes, I do. And I remember in my first year at my school, physiotherapy school, like I was asking the teacher, we were working with water, like hot and cold water. And I was asking her, what if the patient has an emotional reaction to being in the warm water? And she was like, we're not treating psychology. We're only working with the physics. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. I mean, but it's connected, right? I mean, how can you exclude one thing when working with the other? It's not possible. But like, she was so harsh, like really strict looking at me and saying that. And I was like, well, I know what I'm about to do for the next 3 years. I'm just going to focus on one part of life, and I'm not going to look at the other thing because it's not wanted here in my school. But also because maybe it's just not handleable for them. I don't know. But that's quite not like right now. I experience that a lot. Like being in a hospital is challenging for most of us. And there's always the need for patients to be seen, to be heard. And it takes up a lot of time. And our system is fucked up. I don't have that time. I need to treat them a certain way so they are supported on the physical health level. That's my mission. That's what I have to do also. Like that's what they want me to do, the doctors and stuff. And I should not take the time to listen to them too much because it takes up too much time. And then other patients, like I cannot go to them. But the good thing is that's what I love about my job right now. I can kind of take as much time as I think is needed and then take a little less time for next patient because not everyone needs as much time as another one. So I can choose by myself. Like I'm kind of free still in that system because if you're working in a praxis, you can't do that. Like you have 20 minutes. Also with neurological patients, I can take half an hour or more and I'm allowed to do that. And what I do in this time is my choice, but also sometimes I need to stop the patient and say, I'm not your psychologist.
Psychologist.
Yeah, thank you. I'm the physiotherapist. Sorry.
What are you doing to really set these boundaries? I mean, just, of course, verbally talking to them, but also energetically. I know you also work with energy and you're really aware of that because I imagine, or from also my own experience, when we don't set up those energetic boundaries and also physical boundaries, obviously, it can really drain our energy over time, especially if those energies are really intense. Yes. They're strong.
I realize
emotional load.
Yeah, you're right. I realize that the more I am able to be receptive and not react, but work for the patient rather than against the patient, that serves me most too. Because they have a certain thing in mind they want to do or they are able to do. And sometimes I think, no, you shouldn't be doing this. Like, I know better, right? I went to school. It's my job to tell you what you have to do. But that always goes wrong because it takes up so much of my energy. And I'm just there arguing with someone I don't want to be arguing with. So like, that's also go with the flow, right? Like if they wish to, let me think of a certain, like, for example, like I've had a patient, like a woman who was kind of pissed because she didn't have her operation last week. And then she was waiting for her operation to start and she didn't want to like work with me at all. And I was like there and I knew it would be good for her to do certain exercises, but I was just listening and I said, you know what, I'm going to come back tomorrow and then we'll see what we can do. Because if she's not ready to work with me at that exact moment, why, like I won't succeed. It's not possible.
Yeah.
So I said, ciao, goodbye. And I came back next day and she actually was ready. Oh, even like the day after. Yeah. So I came back two days later and she was ready to do something with me. Also like she was really like only doing this much, like little, but I mean, it was still something. So yeah.
I love it. But that's also really, just for everyone listening, that is actually a powerful boundary to set, because especially for every one of you, and I know a lot of you listening are healers, are coaches, are serving other people, humanity in some way, shape, or form. Probably a lot of you are empaths, and it's like, we want to help everyone. And we feel like we know so much, and we can feel, we understand that this or that would really support them. And then we drain our own energy. That has nothing to do with them when we continue to try to push that on them. And that's something, really look into that. Like, I love that you brought that up, because that's something I see so much. I've done it myself. I was like, but that would be amazing for you. And like, family, great example. That just try it with your family. That's how real life is. It's just not working because they're so freaking upfront with you and so open with you. Other people would be a little bit intimidated by, oh yeah, but she's a physiotherapist, so maybe I should do that. Or she's a medicine woman, maybe I should do that. But honoring their free will and their wishes is so much more powerful. That is how we're actually stepping up and being of service to others, and really stepping back from what we want, what we think is the right thing to do, because we, are whoever we are or know whatever we know, but they are on their own journey. Yes. They need to do that. Like, I love to say, like, do you love to be talked into how to do something, or do you love to be told how to do things? Do you love the people that really want to be in a relationship with you, and they're just chasing you, and they almost like stalking you, and they're loving you, and you're like, no, I just don't want to be in a relationship with you. Do, like, at some point, or like, no, I just don't want to freaking do that. Okay. Whatever it is, or in our job, who loves to be told how to do their job? No one.
Yeah, it's also, it's reacting to their needs and their questions, because also that's a very important point. Like, we learn in our school, we learn like, that's what you need to do, that you need to be careful about this, like, so that the patient doesn't die, like it's also life and death. It's intimidating. And then you have your things in mind you have to do with the patient. Otherwise they will die, basically. Like, that's what I'm thinking. And also my colleague, like, he's 50 or 60 years old, and he knows a lot. And he told me, like, you know what? The patient is still going to be there next week. He's not dying just because you weren't there. Like, he's still going to live on without you. It's fine. Like, don't worry about it. Go home, like, have a weekend and chill out. That was on a Friday. And I was like pondering, because I didn't have the time to go to a certain patient. And he was like, no, it's fine. Like, he's going to survive. Don't worry. And
see, that was, it's like really self-care, setting a healthy boundary and saying yes to yourself. Because if your cup isn't full, I know we say that so often, but there's a reason why we're here in the self-care vortex, because even I talk all about it. I'm all about it. My first freaking thought in the morning is self-care. And still, I love to, put others before myself because I want to help. And I feel like, that's what we've been programmed also to do.
Yes.
And I love that you're doing that. And
just to finish the circle, self-care for the patient might look like, hey, can you hand me a wet, cold towel that I can place on my front, like on my face, like that I can wash my hands with, because I'm laying in bed. I cannot do it myself. Can you do that for me now, please? And it's not my job to do that. That's not what I'm learning in school. Like, I would do the physical movements, like, so then they don't have, like, I don't know, like I have to do the respiration exercises so they don't suffer from lung sickness because they're laying in bed all day. Like, that's my job actually. But I mean, if they're asking me to do that, why would I not do it? If I say no and I go on and do my thing, it doesn't serve them. It doesn't serve their self-care at that moment. And that's more important. And I'm convinced it serves their health more because they know what they need. How can I know? I'm not them.
Yes, I love that. So powerful. Yeah. And if that looks wrong for us from the outside, we're like, if you do that, you'd feel much better. Screw us. Like, it doesn't matter. I had so many times in my life where I'm like, oh, now I understand what this person was trying to tell me and why they wanted me to do that, because now I was open to receive it. But before that, I could have not seen the benefit of that. And that is so humbling, and that is so important. And it helps us to really stay more open-minded and receptive to other people's opinions and ideas. And at the same time, become more discerning of, okay, does that really resonate with me or not? I mean, yeah, cool, worked for you, but doesn't feel right for me in the moment. So I'm responsible for my life, whatever that also, is. Open to the ideas, making my own decision in the end.
And I'm still allowed to say and make a statement and say, I would love to do an exercise with you. Are you ready? Are you ready to do it with me? Or maybe we can meet in the middle and I give you the wet towel for your front, but you do a little breathing exercise with me. Is that fine for you? I can still ask for something too. Like, I can say, hey, I'm not here for that, but I will do it because I want to serve you. Are you ready to serve me too in some way?
Yeah. Let's have some fun together.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't?
Respiratory exercises. Sorry. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Do we have a deal?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Who doesn't want to serve also? Like, when you're asking in a kind and friendly way, and I don't have something mean in mind. It's also for their I want to support them. That's what I have in mind when I'm asking,
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that a little bit, because I think it's really, no matter what you guys listening are doing, whatever, Reiki, some kind of energy work, yoga, coaching, business coaching, doesn't matter. Sometimes we really want to push on our ideas and our experience because it served us so much. It's not, sometimes it comes from this ego place of like, I know better, in a sense of like, you should really listen to me. But very often, for what I see mostly in the tribe and in myself, is like, I want you to feel as good as I do because I did these things. It's like, I want you to feel that good. And I kind of feel that this would help you to get there. And that needs a lot of detachment and surrendering practice. Because again, it is their journey. And so powerful. Thank you really for bringing that up. That's really so powerful, profound.
Thanks.
So if you take anything from this conversation, like that's a really powerful one, and nothing that we, do within a day. Like, we might have heard it now, we might understand it, and watch yourself. You continue to do it probably because it's also programming. It's happening subconsciously. It's like really happening, and it takes a little practice to do that. Which brings me to your personal practice, I think. You getting to know that sometimes all there is to surrender to whatever is happening. Especially you as a physiotherapist, so connected to the work, and then you yourself experience so many things in your own body. You technically have so many specialists around you that you can access, that you can ask for help, and freaking nothing helps. So do you want to share a little bit about that? I mean, there is so much to share, but just, I think that's a big part of why you are now so open and letting people just, whatever you need in the moment. I hear you.
I think what I really learned throughout the past 2 years is we are not the body. And I knew that. Theoretically, I knew that before. I mean, I've heard it before. I know I'm not my body, right? But when my body started, yeah, but I mean, I had a time like 2 years ago in my life when my body started it felt like my body was going against me or giving up. Like I couldn't control it anymore. Like I was paralyzed 2 times. I couldn't move my right leg. I had like some weird sensations in both of my legs, and it went on for months. And I went to a doctor because like a friend of mine, a physiotherapist who's already like also very experienced, she looked at me and she said, "Oh my, like you have to get yourself checked by a doctor." And I was like, "What? No." Okay.
You'll be fine.
I'll be fine. I was at the peak. Like I was soldiering through life, and I thought I'm fine. I'm freaking fine. But I mean, I was not. I was soldiering. I was not feeling my emotions. And
so you had your leg was paralyzed 2 times. Mm-hmm. You had pain, and you were just like, it's gonna be fine at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have like things to do in life. I cannot take care of a paralyzed leg and pain in my body. No. Yeah, right. Thanks for asking that. No, with the paralyzation shit, that was already when I was at the doctor's. That went like that was already when I was deep in the shit show. In the shift.
In the shift show. Yeah, because I went to the doctor and then she was like, she wasn't talking to me, but then I looked at her paper and it said like, Verdacht auf Multiple Sklerose. So they were intending to check if I had, or they were suspecting I had like a neurological disease called multiple sclerosis. And I knew patients with that disease, and it freaked me out. Well, and the other option was I had cancer, like a tumor in my vertebral spine. So that were the 2 options that they were suspecting would be possible. I have, and she didn't tell me, but it was just written on the paper, and I was left alone with that information. And I waited
she was
months.
Not talking to you?
No,
she just gave you the paper to go and do like
further. Yeah, and that went on for 3 to 4 months, because then I did a checkup, and they would actually find something in the MRI, like a spot, a bright white spot, and they were arguing it could be like the tumor, cancer, it could be like inflammation, it could be multiple sclerosis. But now you have to wait 2 months, because right now we can't get an appointment, but you have to get checked for your brain to have scans, because then we know more. And I was left alone with that. It was like, and now I can understand the patients more. Like waiting for diagnoses can be so, it fucks with your life, really. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you get, those things are still true. But then that moment when someone comes and tells you, just live in the present moment.
Yeah.
you know, you
Bye.
don't know what's
Yeah.
going to happen right now. All you know is that you're alive. Be grateful.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
it's true. It's very true. But that's when you really don't want to hear it.
You're not
And when
ready
it's
to hear that shit.
No,
Yeah.
you're like,
No.
your freaking emotions come up.
Yeah.
And that's
all my
what-
ego, all my fears. Yeah.
So how did you handle that? What did you do? I mean,
Really bad. I mean, I handled it really bad. I was getting, well, that was at the end, maybe a good thing about it. I was like ready. I was shaking hands with death also kind of in my mind, because I was like about to embrace the fact that I would die with this diagnosis also, you know, from this diagnosis. Yeah. So, and that, it took me like 4 to 5 months, like to be on that cycle of getting another check, going to another MRI. And I was going through deep personal shifts also. And then 5 months later, I would have a final checkup. And then the doctor looked at me and he said, "You don't have anything. There's nothing wrong with you." And I was looking at him and I was saying, like, "What do you mean? I mean, there's something. I mean, they found something in the checkups. And what do you mean?" He said, "You don't, it's not explicable. I know you have these sensations, but it doesn't fit with the pictures we have from your MRIs." And then he said, like, he just asked me one question at the end of the appointment. And he was asking me, "Did you experience something that threatened you throughout the last year?" And I was looking at him and I started crying. And I didn't know why I was crying. But I mean, I could see, like, I had to be really honest with myself, and I could see that he was onto something. And thanks to my mom, I found this trauma therapist in Munich. He is incredible. I love his work. And deep thanks to him, because I mean, he put in so much work. I put in so much work. And I started embracing the connection I have with my body, with my heart, again after 1 year, about one and a half year pause. Like, I really hit the pause button. And I, like, during that trauma therapy sessions, I realized that actually I was running away from myself, like an occurrence that happened 1.5 years ago at that time, and a night that was like excluded from my brain, from my system. Like, I pushed it all down. My fears, my anger, my sadness, my grief, I pushed it all down. I was emotionally disconnected from myself. And what I learned in this trauma therapy sessions is trauma can live in your little finger, and your body will always try to tell you something and communicate with you. Like, it's trying to ring a bell here and trying to phone you. And if you don't answer, it will get louder and louder and louder and louder, until you are ready to pick up that phone and listen.
Mm.
Yeah. So that was why my legs were like firing, you know, like my nervous system was messed up. I was in fight and flight, like for over a year. My therapist, like, he measured the current state of my nervous system. And it was like, I had a heart rate of 120 or something just while I was seated in a chair for 5 minutes, just from sitting. That's not normal. That's not normal.
No. Wow.
Yes.
So everything that you experienced on a physical level in your physical body was due to an experience you had that was not like, you know, you didn't hit your leg or something like that in a way. So it was like really solidly emotionally mentally inexperienced. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you, first of all, for sharing that and being so transparent and open. And I know a lot of people, unfortunately, or thanks goddess, I don't know, that have experienced something like that. A little different here or there. But like, I really love that we're talking about that now, to bring up the awareness that this is real. This is freaking real. So what your teacher, what you were telling us about in the beginning, like, we're just treating the lack here. We're not looking into the, psychology is sorry, but like, that's a freaking belief system.
Yes.
That is wrong.
Yeah.
Because there is no one or the other. It's all connected. And that's something that I learned just through simple yoga practices. Going into hip openers and totally losing my shift and screaming and crying while I did not even like yoga nor believe in that it would do anything to my emotional body. Like that woke me up. It was a tiny little thing where I'm like, oh, wow.
And
that is even more profound. Like being in pain and like going to the doctors and really surrendering, like, okay, I'm going to do something. Being confronted with the fear of death, really. And, like really massive things and so much pain and not knowing, like massively the unknown. And then being like, oh, actually, you're fine. And you're like, what do you mean I'm fine? And then going down that road. So how did that?
And
go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, I was prior to that event, I was practicing yoga for more than 5, 6, 7 years. It's not that I don't have a connection to my body, but also right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm realizing I was in that school belief system. I had to look at my work a certain way. I was kind of forced to do it. Otherwise, I would have been drowning. Really, I tried to fight it, but it was just to my own inconvenience. Like I was fighting a lot with my teachers, and I gave up at a certain point because I realized it's not worth the fight. But I think that influenced me a lot on my personal level too. Like I stopped looking at my emotions, because I was just treating the body. I was telling people in my yoga class, it was like, you are not your body. But I mean, I was still so identified with the whole material part of it, because I was working with it. But muscles store energy, like blood vessels, all vessels. It's all a vessel. Our body is a vessel for energy. Emotions are energy in motion, and they need to be in motion. Yes. If they get stuck, something's wrong.
Yeah, it'll show up sooner or later.
It will show up. If you're not ready to listen to it, life will hit you hard. That's what I experienced. And I think that's also why I kind of embrace a challenge whenever it pops up, because I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm a free person. I choose to do it. I choose to do the work because I prefer that rather than not doing it. And then I get
slap in the face.
Yes.
Or whatever. A little wake up call. Let's call it a little wake up call.
Yeah. I mean, both is fine, but one is more hurtful than the other in my experience.
Yeah. And sometimes we need that. Obviously, for some reason, your soul needed that experience and you were just not ready. And the interesting thing is, looking back, it was also okay. Now you're here, beautiful, walking free, all of that, doing all the things.
It was not okay. Yeah, no, it was not okay. No,
not at all, obviously. And
but it brought me here. And it like you said, it helped me to be more soft with myself and with others, and to be even more understanding for pain, physical and emotional pain. And I think that's really important, to hold space for my own emotions and to be able to hold space for another person's emotions. And also not to be afraid of it, because that's what would happen before often. I think even now, like if you are not willing to look at your own shadow, you will always be afraid of the shadow of another one, because you are not ready to handle it yourself. So you will always shy away from someone who is, honest with themselves and sharing on a deeper level, because it might be a call for you to wake up. Are you ready to answer the call?
Yeah, that's very powerful.
Yeah.
I love that. So did you experience that in any way? I'm just like letting that sink in. Like that was super powerful. A lot of quotes. But did you experience that you were, first of all, acknowledging that you have been into yoga like big time, and you knew, I love your, as you described her, hippie mom. So you kind of grew up with, a Native American woman gave you a name. Let's just let that be. You were in this entire community. You grew up there. You understand in a certain way the connection of body, mind, spirit, and so on. And yet your soul, however, chose that experience.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel like, what gift was hidden in there really? Because it's intense. Not everyone is experiencing that. And you chose to become a physiotherapist as well. So you're like, there is something really deep within you, like wanting to work with the body and beyond, probably.
I was just like, it popped up in my head, like the saying of spiritual bypassing, like I think that's what a lot of us do unconsciously still, because I myself also, I vowed it to my teacher once. I have a teacher, he's amazing. And I told him, like, in my self-inquiry, for years, my ego was the one self-inquiring, sitting down, looking at my thoughts, like not identifying with my thoughts. It was still my ego doing that. And I didn't realize it, because you have to touch the immense space of gratitude from where truth is revealed to you, so you can make a difference in what you see and what you feel and what you say. Like it's a long way to go, and still it's worth it, because once you were in that space, it gets easier to always go back to it, kind of. And to also sense when you are not in alignment with it. And I think what my parents taught me is a lot of openness, a lot of creative, like looking out, going out, also looking within. But it missed a container for myself to hold myself. Like I was still always relying on other people to hold space for me, because I wasn't able to do it myself. And to have that power and to have that freedom also to be able, that's self-care, I think, to be able to know or find out at least what I need in the exact moment, that's so powerful. That is so powerful. And not to go also, again, with a picture that I have in mind about what I need to do when I'm feeling sad, or what I need to do when I'm feeling angry, or sit down and meditate and it will solve everything. That's not the way. Also doing the asana practice. I was practicing 2 hours every day. I was in
Ashtanga, right? Yeah.
I was.
They're crazy in a way.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's one way. There's so many all ways lead to Rome. Of
course, it's like it totally is. It's there is no right or wrong, really. It's just like I found it fascinating how yoga And we know, I mean, the asana is like this tiny, tiny, tiny little part of the yoga, philosophy.
Yes.
And so the movement practice for all of you guys listening, not being so in touch with yoga. However, there's so much more to that. And I found it so fascinating the first time I went into an Ashtanga class and learned about it. I'm like, so you're doing the same thing every single day for like 90 to 120 minutes? That's what you're doing? Yeah. Okay. And of course, like, you can see in a yoga class the Ashtangis. Like you see them.
Yeah,
they are the badass. I do the handstand on my little finger, and I don't know, like they're really good, on a physical level. Like they're badass because they have the practice continuously. There's a power in that, and there is a progress in that, and there's also for sure beauty in that. I personally, I tried it because I'm like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do that. I was like super impressed. My ego was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, always get caught up by the handstand. I mean, that was the one moment where I was like, holy, I want to do that too. Like I saw my teacher, like my Ashtanga yoga teacher. He is awesome, by the way. And I saw him floating into handstand and back and forth. And I was like, I want that. I need this in my life.
Totally. And it's like, it's ridiculous. Like, I mean, it's cool. There are a lot of things that we can practice and just to be able to do them. And there's a lot of play in that if we love it. However, I was just bored after some time. I get easily bored. If I don't have freedom, it triggered my freedom. Like if I don't really have freedom to do things, I'm like, it was hilarious. So I never got to do the fancy things yet, at least. Yeah. But it doesn't really matter. But
you don't have to. It's fine.
I mean, now we can do a lot of things, but it's also, interesting that, yoga that is so about really freedom and spirit, like integrating all levels of existence of our being has one part, like there's one lineage, let's call it, that is so freaking structured and limited and which I found really interesting. Really, really interesting. And I think it's also really, that's what's happening. I love that you mentioned that around self-care, it's not, okay, yep, let me get my little notebook here. Okay, sadness, sit down, meditate and say, I am grateful for it. No, then you're good. Okay, now you're angry. Okay, go for a run and say this mantra. You're like no, you're a limitless, ever evolving being, and you need different things at different times. And sometimes I personally, like the past few months, I have a lot of tools. I would say I have a lot of tools, and I practice what I preach 100,000%. And I came to several points in the last months where none of those freaking tools were working.
Yes, but that's also, I want to say that very good, beautiful that you mentioned it, because if it gets kind of a habit, I would say, I think that's the point where we need to change also our practice, like where we need to change something, because then we got to a point, which is good, where things that have worked once are not working anymore for several reasons.
We're growing. Like we're growing out of them.
Growing, yes. And also not to be sad or angry, pissed about it, but just to accept that what once worked is not working anymore now. And it's okay. Like, okay, look out and find something new. It's going to be there. You'll find it. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. So powerful. Okay. I know we could talk about like 1 million other things. We could fill hours. We need to do a second one and go more deeper into all of that.
Yes.
However, so I have a couple of questions by the end for every one of our guests. And then by the very end, we're going to ask you for your most potent key that you want to leave people with. But we're going to talk about that. So whatever exercise that is, maybe talking about your book that might be published soon. We will see, divine timing. Maybe you want to share a little insight here. I'm like totally like spoiler alert. I'm like, Maybe I'm not even allowed to say that, but now it's out. The book is out. However, so let's bring in little Anna-Lea. Who is this little girl? Would you introduce her to us?
Little Anna-Lea.
Who is she? Bring her in.
Yeah.
Introduce her.
Okay. I see a 2-year-old version of myself right now. She's smiling, curly hair, really cute, but also kind of sensing that there's a lot happening around her that doesn't feel so good. So it's Anna-Lea exploring the world and getting to know the world, but also getting a grip on, okay, it's not going to be as easy as I wish it would be some days. But yeah, I see that version right now coming up.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing her in. So, is there anything that you'd love to tell her right now? Whatever comes up.
Yeah.
Any message for her?
You're safe. You're safe. Don't worry. It's going to be fun and it's going to be fine.
I love that. It's going to be fun and it's going to be fine. I need to write that down. I mean, I have here the recording, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be fine. I'm in the creation of some music now, and that's kind of, that's good. I love that one.
That's the ukulele. Yes.
Oh, yeah. I love it. Okay, now I feel like our inner child, which is very important, but we look into that quite often in a way. When we're going down whatever kind of personal development, spiritual path, whatever it is, the more we look into ourselves, we might find our inner child at some point. We're like, oh, you're the reason why I'm struggling with all these things. Gotcha. Okay, let's send you some love. I love you. No, but we know that, and many of you listening do too. So I would love for you to look back a year from today and just envision the version back then, wherever you were in your life there. Is there a message for her, for this version of you?
Yeah, slow down. You're doing the right thing. You're on the right path.
Slow down. You're doing the right thing. You're on the right path. Let that sink in, tribe. Let it sink in. Because there is medicine. That's your unique medicine for your past selves. And there's always a medicine for all of us in there too. So thank you for sharing that. And now let's take a glimpse into the future. Whatever future version comes to mind, just intuitively. And usually we are calling upon our future selves and it's like, hey, can you help me? Like, how is it going to be? Is there, kind of like,
tell me.
Tell me.
I want to know.
And now let's get back to what we were saying earlier. We already have so many codes, so much wisdom, so much power within us. And sometimes we forget things. Sometimes we wish we had someone reminding us of something from our past. So is there a message for your future self that you'd love to tell her?
Actually, the more I feel grounded in the here and now, the less I worry about the future, and the more I'm confident that whatever comes up, I'll be ready, So my work is here and now.
I love that. May you remember that. Oh,
yes. Yeah.
It is super powerful. Yeah. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. So now we're creating some magic because everyone listening, all of you listening right now, listen up. I know there is so much coming through, so much information. Your bodies, energetic bodies, physical bodies are buzzing with information and integrating everything. But now we're going to create some magic because where awareness goes, energy flows. And that means we're shifting things instantly by simply bringing our awareness to that. So, Anna-Lea, if there was one thing, you have all the superpowers, one thing that you could change in the world, one thing that you could make happen, what is it? Actually, not what would it be, what is it really? Yeah. Because we listen now, we're like fully consciously listening to whatever Anna-Lea is going to share, and we are envisioning that. And the only rule, and I'm setting that up here right now, is that it's for the highest good of all. Whatever Anna-Lea is bringing into reality, what we are supporting her to bring into reality, is happening in a way that it's in alignment with the highest good of all.
Yeah, it came up for me that I would love for all of us, for everyone to love themselves more and to get in touch with their hearts. So I think it makes the world a better world the more we are connected to this love that resides in our heart. Yeah. Which makes it vulnerable, but also so beautiful and powerful. No?
Oh, I love that. Let's take one deep inhale all together. And then let's send it all out with the exhale. May it become reality. May we all truly experience self-love, create self-love, nourish self-love, and get to know ourselves in all the ways and all parts of us, the light, the darkness, everything in between, because it's all part of us. There's beauty in each part of us and magic and power.
Yeah.
Amazing. So powerful, and so it is.
Yes.
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Of course you can.
We need to talk about the shadow thing more in the next episode. I feel like this is really important.
Okay. You guys, try. Did you hear that? Anna-Lea is requesting a second episode. Let us know if you're down for some deeper shadow work. Like really, contact us, Self Care Vortex, me, Anna-Lea, and let us know if you have any questions. Really, like whenever we will record that and we get your messages.
Yes.
Actually, we might do a live maybe on Instagram. Let's see. And bring you in if you guys want to join. Let's see. We figure something out. We create some magic.
Yeah, you'll figure that out. You're the masteress.
The master of the online realm. I love it. I love the online realm. It's connecting us all over, beyond space and time, like energy, like our souls are naturally used to do things. Yet we humans forgot it, so we created the freaking internet to have a physical thing of what is actually
but you do
energy,
it in such a playful but you do it in such a playful and honest and reliable way also, like you're doing it like so carefully. I love that about you, like you're doing it really connected to so much at once.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so last thing that you listening get to receive. So we heard so much wisdom, so much inspiration, so many experiences that might have ignited some spark within you already. And, we're talking about so many things like working the connection, body and mind, trauma, shadow, light, setting healthy boundaries, self-care in so many different ways. So there was a lot in there. Allow yourself to come back to the episode. Listen to it another time. I really say that every time because I do that myself with episodes. I have a couple of podcasts that I listen to regularly, which are as well filled with so much information. Like even me, when I'm editing the episodes, I'm like, oh yeah, I totally forgot that we were talking about that or that she said that. And I'm like, yes, I love it. Like I get super excited re-listening to it, even though I'm present here, hearing it all. However, the last thing that I would love the listeners to take away is whatever you want to share with them. I love to talk about keys that we're sharing here that you, tribe, can access to open up a door within yourself to get closer to who you truly are. So it could be a practice, it could be a book, a quote, it could be whatever. A book.
Again, a book.
Hint, subtle hint.
Yes. No, I have a simple question. Yes. Thanks for that hint. So I do have a simple question for you, because it started my whole journey 2 years ago, and it was simply like, what does it mean for you to be authentic? What does it mean for you to be authentic? And then whatever comes up, whatever that question brings up, like, do it. And the first exercise in my book, the first exercise that came up for me, I did it myself for a year, and I gave it the name "You Be You." What does it mean for you to be you? Like, what does it take for you to be you? And start from there, and start from being honest with yourself, acknowledging your emotions, your feelings, acknowledging whatever comes up, the good and the bad, like the light and the shadow. And then from there, do what is necessary for you to integrate it into your system, and try to stay as connected to your own heart and to the heart of others as much as you can. One step at a time, as much as you can.
Powerful.
It will take you to places. I swear.
Those are my favorite things. They seem so simple. They are very simple and so profound. And there's so much to see, and there's so much power in that simplicity when we really go in there. So thank you for sharing that key. Very powerful one. Thank you so much, Anna-Lea. I'm super grateful that you made the time to be here. I know you're working a lot.
You're kidding.
You're doing a lot.
For you. Yes. You're about to go on holiday, and you have, like, I wish you the best holiday on earth. I mean, you deserve it so much.
I mean, vacation is usually my badass creation time. That's why I'm like super inspired. It feels like there's a shift in my mind, like freedom. And then I'm sitting there and like creating hours and hours each day, which is amazing.
See what comes up. Yeah.
And there's still hours and hours of playtime. That's life. That's life. Yes. Honestly, we need
and you're
play,
sitting on your suitcase.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. About to leave.
Yes, I'm super excited for that. So until the shadow work episode that Anna-Lea has been requesting, where can people find you? So your Instagram or anywhere else that you'd love to share.
Yeah. Till now, until today, I do have my Instagram account, which is, as you said in the beginning, Shine Your Light. And then it's a unterstrich. Like
space. What is it called? What are they called? Like lower?
The low.
Oh, damn. Where?
You'll find it anyway. It's Shine Your Light Yoga, but in between the light and yoga, there's an underneath. Underscore. Yeah. Underscore. Huh. Thanks.
See, sometimes, but he hears. That's our authenticity. Like, we're German. And sometimes I don't even, I'm the same sometimes in German. Because I live basically with so much English that sometimes I'm like, what is that word again? And then when I spend 3 months, in all Spanish speaking countries, and I don't even speak Spanish yet, but then there were words that came up only in Spanish. I'm like, wow, my brain loves languages and it's deeply into it. So when I come out of the interview, I'm going to meet my mom later and be all like, sometimes we talk English.
It's fine.
It's fun.
It's fun. And I just want to say, follow me on Instagram. I appreciate everyone following me, but know that I'm not as good with keeping up as Melissa is. Like,
oh, so yeah, we're totally deleting what you just said. We're absolutely deleting that because there is no good or bad. There is no judgment here. So
did I say good?
Yeah, you said you're not as good as.
Well, I meant like
with keeping up things. You said your authentic expression of yourself is different than Melissa's, and you share things whenever you feel called
not
to.
as regular. Yes. Okay.
Also, amazing yoga practices and meditations. Yeah. And maybe soon in the future, very soon, we don't know. Time is an illusion itself. Her amazing book, which is sharing her amazing practices that helped her through.
How do you publish a book? Hit me up if you have some hot.
Oh yeah, support her. I have actually lots of. I researched that a lot. I can actually send you some information there because there are 2 books waiting. Oh, and there's my cat. Aloha. But if there's any one of you in the tribe, like really, maybe you have self-published your own book or you are fully, deeply into that topic, hit her up. Talk to Anna-Lea. Help her to publish the book because it's honestly, I mean, as you can see, I tried hard, but she doesn't really want to talk about it in detail. Plus now I really running out of time. However, it's super profound. I heard a little bit, maybe in the shadow work part. Okay, now the bell is ringing. Like now it's gone.
It's time to go.
I'm called to go. Okay. Thank you so much, Anna-Lea, for being here, and thank you, Tribe, for being here. Sending you so much love. If you want to stay here for the alchemy of words, by the end, in a few seconds, stay here and have the most amazing day. Sending you so much love.
Your frequency has risen.
As always, I'll end the episode with an alchemy of words. Get ready for a powerful, inspiring quote or a channeled message from my higher self for you. But first, I want to thank you. Thank you for making the time for yourself today. You aren't listening to this because of me or anyone else on here, but because you are here for yourself. Because you're ready to grow and expand your knowledge, and because you love yourself so much that you took the time out of your day, even though you have so much to do. Making self-care our #1 priority and committing to unconditionally love and trust ourselves and life is what really empowers us to make an impact in the world around us. If you know someone who you think is ready to step into their power, someone who needs to maybe remember that they are enough, or that you would simply love to have as a part of this tribe, invite them and share the Self-Care Vortex with them. Thank you for being a conscious creator of your life and the world we live in. Today's Alchemy of Words. Today's Alchemy of Words is by Carl Jung, which fits perfectly into this episode. With an open heart and an open mind, I invite you to receive this potent alchemy of words. I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become.
Your external